Megalopolis is a new sci-fi epic film, and this is the latest by the fearless and legendary filmmaker Francis Ford Coppola. So this is his passion project, which was written back in 1977, and eventually when production came around a couple of years ago, Coppola self-funded the project by selling a winery of his. For those who don't know who Francis Ford Coppola is, he is behind some very prominent films, such as, in yearly order, The Godfather, The Conversation, The Godfather Part 2, Apocalypse Now, The Outsiders, The Godfather Part 3, Bram Stoker's Dracula, The Rainmaker, and many more examples. You can already tell that I have mixed feelings about his filmography. Megalopolis is about the city of New Rome, which is the main conflict between Caesar Catilina, played by Adam Driver, a brilliant artist in favour of a utopian future, and the greedy mayor Franklin Cicero, played by Giancarlo Esposito. Between them is Julia Cicero, played by Natalie Emmanuel, and her loyalty is divided between her father and her beloved. Easily, this has been in my top 3 anticipated films of the year. I have been so excited to see Megalopolis since back in 2022 when it started production. Then this year in May when it had its world premiere at the Cannes Film Festival. Then I heard so many divisive reviews at Cannes, TIFF and other early screenings. Now that I've finally seen Coppola's passion project, I found Megalopolis to be a fascinating mess. Before I get into that though, there were a few aspects I seriously liked about Megalopolis, such as the costumes and the production sets. Specifically, these two aspects presented dedication and detail for this New Rome setting, and it was good stuff. Within that, it does show the massive size and scale of the world of feeling epic. Furthermore, I appreciated that Coppola tried to film as much on location in current day New York to feel a bit of realism for this sci-fi story. With the visual effects, some of it was honestly pretty breathtaking on an experimental level of its designs and meanings. It's one of those when you want to get your phone out and take a picture. However, some of the visuals were not so breathtaking and were pretty ugly. The script of Megalopolis has so many fascinating ideas. This is a film that wants to be like Fritz Lang's Metropolis and a little bit of Stanley Kubrick's 2001 A Space Odyssey. It wants to be passionate about presenting a parallel between the fall of Rome and the future of the United States. Inside that, there are themes on human life, world development, society, progress versus tradition, and a future for the better or worse. Also, grief, greed, love, hope, corruption, and unstoppable power. I believe this feels current and essential for today's time. Unfortunately though, this fails of being bloated. For example, the tone was all over the place of everything and nearly everyone was cranking at 11. There was also rushed pacing, insane and random editing, and too much was happening because of characters' motivations and the variety of the topical discussions this film provided. Moreover, having dialogue that is so deep, philosophical and poetic, that felt exaggerated and absurd by the performances and directing. Megalopolis thinks it's smart, but instead it is full of itself and making the overall experience a fascinating mess. My reactions to the story's presentations were sometimes, that's interesting, I think, I don't know how I feel about that. What the f... Let's talk about the stacked cast of Megalopolis. The film has a great cast, but some of the acting was shockingly bad. Adam Driver, Giancarlo Esposito and Natalie Emmanuel as the three main characters were all not great. Vain, laughable, sometimes bland and sometimes dramatic, where it becomes so stagey of being cranked at 11. This shocks me to say this, as in the past I have always been so impressed and satisfied by these talented performers. I felt zero chemistry when it was Julia and Caesar together, and when it was Julia and Mayor Cicero together, so I don't have much more to say about that. Jon Voight as Hamilton Crassus III, uncle to Caesar, looked like he was drunk all the time and I was just waiting for him to fall asleep. Dustin Hoffman as Nush Berman, aka the Fixer, I honestly couldn't understand a single word he was saying. James Remar, Jason Schwartzman and Catherine Hunter, I honestly don't have that much to say about them, so we will move on now. But there were other cast members I felt were appropriate and bearable and did try. We have Aubrey Plaza as this reporter named Wow Platterman. Yep, that is a name, I'm not kidding. There is also Shia LaBeouf as Claudio Pulcher, who is Caesar's cousin, and Lawrence Fishburne as Fundy Romaine, who is Caesar's driver. In my opinion, Megalopolis should have been a limited series, even though Francis Ford Coppola is a filmmaker who wouldn't really make stuff for the small screen. Or even a 3-4 hour film. It did feel like that though, by this ginormous story, and it's a shame that Coppola didn't get to make it back in the 70s/80s. I understand that back then this may have been ahead of its time for the filming resources and budget, but I feel that it would have been interesting to see what it could have looked and felt like back in that time, both on a technical level and in a previous period of time. It's honestly difficult to recommend Megalopolis, but as I've said this before and I will say this again, do not let my opinion from stopping you of seeing the film. So, I'm just going to leave it to you, the viewer, to see the film for yourself in cinemas if you're a cinephile, a fan of Coppola's work, a fan of the sci-fi genre, or just generally curious. I'm going to give Megalopolis 2 stars out of 5. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and please let me know your thoughts about the film in the comments below. Feel free to watch another video and check out my social media sites. Links are in the description below. Have a wonderful day. Until next time.
So go back to the club. So go back to the club. So go back to the club. So go back to the club.